So Tony, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm from the northeast, which I'm very proud of. I come from a family that was very close and had four brothers. Three are still with us now. Growing up, we enjoyed the company of our friends and neighbours and ran in and out of each other's doors and had a great time together. I think that sort of camaraderie, that friendship, etc., is pretty much what encapsulates a lot of my paintings. So, a great place to come from, a great place to capture and look back on and reminisce about, really.
So from there, how did you get into art?
Well, that's a good one. At a very young age, I used to draw and paint, and I loved art, really. I found it a great way to lose myself and express myself, and really just a way of sort of getting away from the reality of what was going on in your life at times, you know. But at the same time, I was told that where I came from as such, it wasn't likely that I was going to be an artist, because that happened to people who come from very, very nice backgrounds. Usually it wasn't for people from council estates as a rule of thumb. So I stuck in. After being in the army, came out of the army, managed to get myself a degree, get into the environment, start doing a lot of different things. But really, I got to the point where I could look after friends of mine who were artists and sell their work, and also sell my own artwork, which is what we did in 2004, opening the Art House Gallery, and from the Art House Gallery or the Art House 1 as it was then, we got to where we are now with the Art House 2. So I think I was always destined at some point to be in art. It just took a while to get here, really.
Would you say you fell into art, or did you choose it?
Well, I think there's a bit of both going on there. I mean, it's easy to stick a brush in your hand and call yourself an artist, and be out there, I suppose, as an artist, but I wanted to make a living out of it. I wanted to be able to support myself out of it. So, and again, coming from the background that I came from, I think it was, you almost had to get out and get proper jobs, which I did do the proper jobs. Got into a point where, having the art house now, that affords me the studio to paint here. I've got a studio at home. So I personally think destiny. I think you're always destined to be an artist. I just think you sometimes have to weave through sort of life and get to that mecca, that location, that sort of place where you need to be. So I don't want to answer your question. Did you fall into it? I don't think you ever fall into art. But there's a little bit in that, because you happen to be in a position where you could afford to get a gallery with this statue, and over the last sort of 10-20 years establish some of the friendships that you have with artists to make the gallery successful, both for your own artwork and for theirs as well.
What would you say influences you?
Everyday things, everyday people, events that I may have seen, a snippet on the news, someone walking past me, a child splashing in a puddle. I mean, I'm a great watcher of people. I love sort of sitting on a cup of coffee, cup of tea, and just watching people go by. I mean, the world is such a tapestry of different events, if you know what I mean. There's children have a wonderful time while they're being dragged around because they're bored, and just different characters in people's faces, workers coming back from work, different stories. It's endless. What you never fail to be inspired by, and what's out there every day, really.
Have you accumulated any famed fans or collectors?
There's a few. I mean, the easiest way of putting this is I like the idea of everyday people collecting my artwork. So I think I have them on a pedestal every bit as much as any sort of celebrity or sort of well-known collectors. But yes, I mean, politically there's Tony Blair, Alex Salmond got one, and Michael Moore. So I mean, there's politicians got them, there's TV stars got them, but there's also, like I say, there's lovely couples who've saved their pennies to buy one. I mean, I've got to confess that probably resonates with my heart as much as anything really. So you get a thrill for anything you sell, but to people who, especially in harder times, have had to really scrape and save to be able to afford one of your paintings, like that's fantastic for your heart really, and your psyche really.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years' time?
Hopefully doing pretty much what we're doing now. I think I'm where I need to be now. I mean, the painting side of it, which you always find exciting, we're exhibiting. The artwork's just going out as limited editions now, so it's all starting to gather momentum and force. I mean, the gallery's fantastic with school visits and educational visits. It's great to meet these people and young people trying to find their way and all that side of life. So I kind of think hopefully we're pretty much doing what we're doing now.
Do you have any influences or favourite artists?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, I think we're all influenced by things we see. I mean, some of our work's been compared to Lowry, some of it's been compared to Kandinsky, some of it's been compared to Monet. There's all sorts of artists you sort of linked with. I think, you know, as you go through life and you visit different galleries and museums, you do absorb, whether it's intentional or unintentional, which is usually the latter, things you've seen to influence your artwork. But then it can be that you just reproduce something that's similar-ish to what somebody else has seen, because I always remember seeing the cave paintings in Australia and the cave paintings in France. These guys never met each other, but there's actually similarities to work. So I think artists out there, we're all looking at the landscape or subject matter in different ways, but there's only so many different ways. So I think we're all influenced by either events or the media or things we've seen, but I don't deliberately go out there and hold anyone on a pedestal, although I am a fan of Norman Cornish, and I think Rolf Harris has done a great job of getting people into art and to have a go. I've got my friends Alexander Miller with his Gadgies, Mackenzie Thorpe, I mean, well, phenomenal artist, to be able to take things so simply and yet make them so emotive. Jeff Rowlands, I mean, there's loads of great artist friends of mine out there that are all doing great jobs, so, you know, I don't think one in particular has influenced you, but just having them as friends, I think, gives you all a lift, you know.
You've praised a number of your friends as artists. Do you have anything negative to say about the art scene?
No, I mean, most of the guys I know in the art world are straight up hard working people trying to make a living, which is what it's about really. If I've got a criticism of the art world, it's possibly how some people run with art. They make it very pretentious and very, tell a child not to touch this and don't do this and don't do that. Where actually with the educational visits here, we encourage the children to interact with the sculpture and touch it, and to ask questions about pictures, and not to be quiet in the gallery, but actually to be enthused and set their imaginations alight. So if I had a thing I didn't like in the art world, it's this how people, and sometimes they're very non-knowledgeable people, how they try and put other people down. You don't talk in here and you don't do this and you don't do that. There's no need for it. I mean, art is to enlighten, to inspire, to lift. It's not to, you know, put people in that place.
Referring to your own work, what's the idea behind the kind of nautical theme, you know, the ships, for example?
Well, the big boat, or the ship, as some people describe it as. I mean, to me, the big boat pictures are all about community. People just look at the big boat and, of course, they think of shipbuilders or they think of sailors. What they don't see is the guys that cleared the forests to make the timber to go in the boats. They don't see the coal men that quarried the coal to make coal to generate power stations, to run the smelters, etc., etc. So to me, I'm asking the question, look beyond just seeing the boat, which is inspirational. Look at, community, and I'm asking questions in that. I think in today's world, we should be thinking more about community in our borders and out with our borders. We should be, there's only man had the sort of, I don't know the words, but the audacity, I suppose, to draw a line on a map and say that's China there and that's Tibet there, that's Northern Ireland, that's Southern Ireland. I mean, there's no natural wall there that you can't get over. It's just another piece of countryside. So I think a better world for everybody is what I'd like to see.
To what extent would you agree that your own surroundings have informed your work?
Well, I mean, there's no getting away from it. A close family support. There's definitely a northeast sort of theme to what I'm doing and where I'm doing it. But I mean, it goes wider than that. I mean, I've done commissions of different places from all over the country, all over the world, really. So there's many things you can put in the artwork. But I mean, the artwork I've tried to introduce colour because times have been hard, especially in the UK and around, but in other parts of the world as well. So lots of colour, lots of texture. So people almost want to touch. I love the idea that people touch the artwork. So you've created something, hopefully that draws people in and lifts them, which is what it's supposed to do.